Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. I'm Bill Pucko, happy to be with you, and joined as always by the guys, Tariq, Spence. How are you?
Inching closer to the start of the NFL season. I can't believe we got to wait one more week.
Yeah, the 3 preseasons, it seems like it goes fast.
Yeah, it does, because there's one less than we're used to. It used to be 4, Bill.
And nobody 25%.
Yes, you got it.
And nobody cared that.
So you wear them here. I got 31, and you said this is a tough one.
Well, it is a tough one. Here's the thing. The Bills need a safety bad, and why not wear the jersey of what I believe is the most underrated drought Bill of all time, former safety, Jarius Byrd. Played with the Titans for a couple of years, too.
Yeah, was a good player.
Thank you. I love Jarius Byrd. I thought he was going to be one of those guys that turned it around. And no, he got offered more money in Tennessee and Buffalo, and the state they were, we're not going to pay Jarius Byrd.
So we've already done the last show without football up until mid-February because college football kicks off Saturday. It's a historic season.
I love this. Are we doing a 12-game playoff here? A 12-team playoff?
Yes, we are.
Are we officially? Okay, all right, good. So as I understand it, top 4 teams are good. They would get a bye, and the rest of the teams would be basically seeded from, I think, 5 all the way to the 12. That gives you a chance for a team in some conference who goes 13-0 to go, 12 versus 5, 6 versus, whatever it might be. I love this. It makes you want to watch football. Now you're seeing if there is some sort of Cinderella team. Can they really hang with some of these teams out of the SEC and the Big Ten? I am looking forward to this. I know what's going to happen, though. Predict this. We should be in the top 12. We should be in the top 15. We should be. Let's let it be what it is. The complaining will come, but let's get to it.
Well, almost all of them are going to be from the SEC, the Big Ten, though. Despite, our wish for a Cinderella, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Well, I mean, one of the, what do they call them now? The power, the smaller 5. One of the ones outside of the power 5, there is a guaranteed playoff berth for one of them. But I'll tell you, I'm really excited to sit down and enjoy a good season of amateur football where none of these schools are making money off of these kids with their real time. I mean, look, man.
And the kids not making money either.
Well, but it is funny too.
It's right? NFL light.
But I mean, you're right. I mean, there are a handful of kids that are making a significant amount of life-changing money, right? But for the rest of them, what these schools are making compared to what the kids are making is absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch it. I enjoy the movement of the players year to year at this point because it makes it more like free agency in the NFL, right? And you're also giving these guys an opportunity to prove themselves where 20 years ago, think about this. We're familiar with Matt Castle, right? He was the backup for Matt Leinart for years and years and years in USC, and it was Bill Belichick taking a flyer on him in the 7th round that got him an NFL career. He was a starter for a couple of years in the NFL. Could that guy have been a 1st, 2nd, 3rd round pick had he had the ability to transfer without penalty from USC to somewhere else? Look at what happened with Michael Penix this last season. Now, he's a 1st round pick. Wouldn't have happened. Russell Wilson all those years ago. He's been in the league for how many years?
2 Heisman.
I mean, yes,
guys moved.
College football, if it's about one thing, they preach for years and years and years, it's about an opportunity to prove yourself. What better way to prove yourself than to go to a team that values you?
I could roll Syracuse out there. I looked at their schedule. It's like, these guys just filled in their own blanks. They've got their first 4 games are at home against non-conference opponents like Holy Cross, and they don't play Florida State. They don't play Clemson. It's not like, but man,
you really do need
the door is open.
You do need to schedule some games.
Well, no, I mean, I think it's defiant the way it is because, look, don't do this to yourself, man. We've been doing this for how many years with Dino Babers and Syracuse? I get why you're excited, right? Fran Brown's here, the tide is changing, right? But, they're going to trip over themselves in the first 4 games. They're going to lose that game to Georgia Tech. Right?
Oh, that would be something.
Georgia Tech is a team that runs a non-traditional offense with a guy that's never been a head coach before. That's going to trip you up. And look, man, I hope that 3 years from now, we're talking about Syracuse as one of the top 40 programs in the country. But it's going to take that long to get it done, whether or not you have transfer portal and money back up to bring guys in. It takes time for this stuff to work.
To invest in a team in the East, I get this statistic that if we had a 12-team playoff throughout the BCS, all the rest of the stuff, that Penn State, which hasn't been to a single playoff, would have qualified 6 times based on where they finished.
Well, Penn State is just one of those teams full well. They don't start off well, but at the end of the year, you do not want to face them.
He was a man that's been around for as long as you have, right? Covered sports the way that you have.
Tell them the truth.
Look, to sit here and say it's historic this year till it's historic next year till it's historic the year after, right? We've lived through AP national championships. We lived through the BCS. We've lived through the playoff era. And now, the way that things move so quickly, 10 years from now, we will have had 3 different ways we do this. Mark my words.
Yeah. There's always going to be an audience, this, Duffy, for the Notre Dames, for the Penn States, for a number of different people that have the historic programs to get back into the mix again.
Yeah.
That's what makes me tune in.
To your point, when I started watching this, Notre Dame would never accept a bowl bid. They crowned the national champion before the bowl games by the Associated Press poll. So we've come a long
way, baby.
This is the Rochester Press Box. We're talking Buffalo Bills next. Just passing through. Life lessons from notable Rochesterians. People you may think you know. Don Elhart, Maggie Brooks, John Dady, and Stacy Pension. J. Mack and Soccer Sam. Fred Costello, and Jake Zembeck. Along with 21 more. How they all got from there to here. It's a new book by Bill Pucko, available for $12 postpaid only from rocksportsnow.com. Try it, and thank you. Our NFL pick segment in the Rochester Press Box, brought to you by Connors and Ferris, your trusted and dedicated workers' comp attorneys and official sponsor of the Buffalo Bills. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us here, Rochester Press Box, talking Buffalo Bills. This segment brought to you by Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. So the week begins with us losing Mitch Trubisky, which doesn't sound like a terribly big deal, but this is like Tariq's talking point all the time. You need a backup quarterback.
1, poor Mitchell Trubisky. 2, you have a backup quarterback. The Bills just went out and signed Anthony Brown, a man who started a game with the Baltimore Ravens a couple of years ago.
Started a game.
And threw 3 interceptions. However,
you feel confident with this
guy. But look, man, the bottom line is this. If Josh Allen goes down, knocking on wood, everybody, there's nobody behind him in the NFL short of having Patrick Mahomes as your backup where you'd feel confident going into that game, right? Look, this is not good. This is not good. But the NFL...
You're saying, I'm just to paraphrase it, You're saying that this team's not good enough to win a game without Josh Allen, the quarterback.
I don't think any NFL team these days are good enough, with the exception of a freak performance, to win a legitimate game with a backup quarterback. And I understand
Kansas City does.
Against a good team.
Carson, come on!
To win a game, Carson Wentz?
Maybe he should have tried that in Indianapolis and Washington.
No.
Well, all these guys are good in short spans.
That's what I mean, right?
3-game spans.
3 games too long.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, when we first started watching football, there were, 23, 24 teams in the league. So you had guys like Frank Reich. You had guys like Scott Mitchell. You had legitimate NFL starters that just didn't have a place for themselves. It's like the NHL. When they had their original 6, they were Hall of Famers that were stuck in the minors their entire careers. Now, with 32 NFL teams, there are not enough talented human beings to have multiple quarterbacks for half of the league that can be starting quarterbacks. And if I'm wrong, tell me where these guys live.
But the math of it is amazing to me, that in the whole country, you don't have 20 guys.
I mean, you need about 30 of them, for crying out loud, especially if you want to expand the season. This is the biggest concern I have right now. I'm not quite sure what the Bills do, although there will be some guys getting cut 1 week from, less than a week from now.
It'll be Tuesday, Tuesday.
Yeah, the 27th. And then maybe you find somebody who isn't on a roster, they get a second or third chance. But if I'm Buffalo, I'm looking at that waiver wire on Tuesday. I'm picking up another quarterback. You don't have them. Your offense did not look good.
I'll tell you what happens. They're going to go trade Kyle Allen, who was the backup last year, is the third-string quarterback in Pittsburgh. Either he gets cut loose or they trade like a 7th-round pick to bring him back, and everything's all set. You'll be fine.
So the preseason is like a game of Russian roulette. There's always a live bullet, and the Bills took one of those with Matt Milano.
Dude, yeah, but I mean,
Detroit got hurt. Minnesota lost a quarterback and stuff, but Milano might be, one of the 3 big injuries of the preseason.
I agree with you. I think Matt Milano is a legitimate All-Pro. I think he's criminally underrated when it comes to his position in the NFL, but that didn't even happen in a preseason game. It was in a practice, an innocuous drill where all of a sudden the guy was in the wrong spot, and now we lose him until December. What's heartbreaking about that for me is he'll be 31, 32 when he's back on the field again. He could have been, I don't want to say could have been because he still has time, right? But
he's on Tre'Davious White's career path.
Tre'Davious White, yes. Look, even if he's back and becomes successful again, you lost 2 years of Matt Milano's prime last year with his broken leg, and now what we got going on with his bicep.
You learn anything about this team over the course of the preseason?
I'm deeply concerned about Milano and his future in the NFL when it comes to this many injuries that close to that many years that close together. Other than that, no. I think the Bills defense will be fine. The question is whether or not there'll be offense will be in sync. And now with Josh Allen, will he be ready for the start of the season? Do you bring him out? Oh, look at this. Look at it. Don't worry about Josh Allen. He'll play 20 games and he'll be fine. I'm like, okay.
I don't know why I was sucking helium with that impression, first of all. No, Josh Allen is the one guy you don't have to worry about.
Something, I guess.
Josh Allen is the one guy you don't have to worry about. It's everybody surrounding Josh Allen that you can have questions. But again.
You say this with confidence, please.
What?
I'm worried about what you're going to say next.
No, go ahead.
I'm worried about what you're going to say
No,
next.
look, man. Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, over the last 5 years, have had several times where people looked at him and said, you're insane. And every single time, they've won the AFC East 4 times. Do they not deserve the benefit of the doubt?
They definitely do. Our Bill segment was brought to you by Connors and Ferris. Like it or not, is next.
Checkmate.
Here's the Press Box Trivia question, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road.
You and the whole family are going to love this getaway. Hello again, Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. It's a treehouse getaway and more than you think. Check out the getaway guy right now on Facebook and I'll take you here.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us here. It's Rochester Press Box. Our Like It or Not segment is brought to you by Ralph Honda, where Honda is done right, online or in our showroom. Build your new Honda, get financing, and a quote on your trade. For your next Honda, visit Ralph Honda. Tariq, like it or not, interesting proposal, MLB, and they had to have rolled this out on their own so that we talk about it, is considering mandating 6-inning starts out of their pitchers.
I'd like to see how you're going to do it. It's going to be rough. You're going to need to expand the roster in order to do that. I think the only way to get out of that is to pitch over 100 pitches in a game. I think an injury, which there'll probably be fake ones in a sense to get out of it.
Interestingly, they said, though, to cover that, they said, it will be linked to a stint on the disabled list.
Yeah.
It says if you claim a guy is injured, you've got to put him on the IL.
Which would mean you need to get another guy, like I said, an expanded roster to take in that spot as well. What happened to innings eaters? Remember we used to have that in Major League Baseball where guys would just eat up innings. They'd go 7, go 8, go 9. Are we going to have these mid relievers do this now? I've seen now in baseball they're going to go to a 6-day starter instead of a 5-day starter. So it looks like we need more arms, just like in the NFL with quarterbacks.
From a labor standpoint, it's great, right? Because you got guys in the minors that'll now have the ability to have legitimate MLB careers and make money. But you guys realize why they're doing this, right? Like, you're not getting sucked into this without seeing the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to be told.
Increasing offense. You want poorer pitching to make the batters look better. I mean, Tariq, you get it.
Yeah.
And I guess if you don't mind the idea of artificially inflating offense, it's fine. But that's what they're doing.
The other end of this, too, is there's been this theory, that, and I'm not even against it either, that your closer shouldn't just wait till the 9th inning, putting them in 7th, 8th inning, catching the heart of that order, and maybe going to a guy to get you 3 outs.
There is an aesthetic thing going here. I mean, people like traditionally like their starting
But I'm
pitcher.
not out of the game, to Duffy's point. I'm not out of the game late because I might put an arm in there that gives up 3 or 4 runs, and then I'm right back in the game again.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Like it or not, the Little League World Series is up and running.
I want to like it, right? Because you watch that and you remember being a kid and going out and playing baseball, and it was great. I do now have a problem with the pressure that these kids are under on national television on multiple channels, right? Because I think the romanticism of imagining what it would be like as a kid to be on that level is not what it actually is, because I've seen far too many kids collapse in tears on national television where you can simply Google their name now as they're adults and you can watch them. Like, could you imagine? Google's been around 20, 30 years with all these clips, right? Somebody may have a boss right now that they could Google, right? Very successful man, woman with the Softball World Series, and they're just in a heap of tears. They're in a heap of tears. I want to like it. There's just something that feels a little bit icky about it to me.
Yeah, I've almost come around the other direction because I always felt that way, sort of the Pink Floyd, leave the kids alone, and they're better off, playing their games by themselves and thinking that this will corrupt things. But we had more issues before the spotlight was put on the Little League World Series, and the whole sportsmanship and a lot of good vibes coming out of that, the way ESPN handles it, the Major League game that was played there.
Can I handle that pressure? Then you go to Duffy's point of maybe possibly YouTubing somebody you don't like at your office and bringing up the fact that they struck out with the bases.
No one would do
the bottom of the
that.
seventh inning, and that you cost yourself your country the World Series.
I'm 38 years old. You put me in that spot right now against a 12-year-old, I would collapse into a heap of tears.
Yeah, there's boxing video of you.
But I'm crying throughout that whole thing.
Very good. Our Like It or Not segment brought to you by Ralph Honda Unfinished Business is next.
I would never do that to you. The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. Come home to McArdle's.
And now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here. It's Rochester Press Box. Time for Unfinished Business.
It was just a matter of time, and I've been dreading it. The Bills are opening their new stadium scheduled for 2026, and I've been a Bills season ticket holder now for over a decade. I've been going to games since 1988 when my dad got his season tickets when I was an itty-bitty, little bearded boy. But now that we are moving across the street, my super affordable, ridiculously inexpensive 20-yard line, third row from the field seats will no longer be those things. I got an email from my season ticket rep who told me they want to bring me out to Buffalo. They bought a storefront, the Buffalo Bills did, to walk you through and show you what this new stadium's going to look like, a hard sell. And then after they do that, they're going to sit you down in a room and they're going to say, Pat, or whatever your name is, we would like you to sign up for more tickets. And here's what the price of the tickets are. And it's going to be more, and I can accept that. What I have an issue with is the other piece of paper they're going to slide over, the PSL, Professional Seat License. And real quick, if you don't know what that is what you pay a franchise for the right to buy your ticket. You don't get a ticket out of it. It's a one-time fee. There are some as low as $500. There are some as high as $50,000 across the NFL. And the rumor is mine's going to be around $5,000 per seat for where I would be right now. Well, first of all, I don't think I can afford that with, a daughter playing travel hockey and another one doing dance. She's also doing tennis, and I'm having to justify that to my wife. But the principle of the thing, what am I paying you for? I'm giving you money for nothing. I'm giving you money for the right to give you more money. I'm conflicted. I don't want to do that because I'm a man of principle when it works out for me just fine. But again, if I don't, I may be frozen out of my happy place, a place that I grew up at, that parking lot since 1988, where 3, 4, 5-year-old me was hanging out with my dad watching beers, and now I drink beers in front of my children in that parking lot. What do? Do I stand up for what I believe in, or do I bow down because it's where I've always been?
Oh, I know full well we love to look at these negative stories of these stars that never do anything right, and as always, the sky is falling with this big star. I have to give props, though, to Marcus Stroman. Marcus Stroman, earlier this week, gave scholarship money out to 2 teenage Bronx kids for a chance to go to college. Being once a Bronx teenager worried about paying for college, which I did with student loans, I can understand how overwhelming those families feel as if somebody was looking out for them. Stroman, who was a great student and could have went to Duke, went on to play baseball. And of course, everything seemed to work out great for him in the end. But it just goes to show you how quickly people are looking for more negative stories of what star didn't go to see little leaguers or what players did this or did that. Now, I know full well some of these stars do things and they don't do it for notification and they don't do it for all the different credit that they want for it. They do it because it's the right thing to do and they see themselves in these young people. That's exactly what Marcus Stroman did and lived all the way up to it. So all the negative stories that are out there, there's tons of more positive stories we need to concentrate on. And remember, these young players that are out here every single day contribute more than just entertaining us with baseball.
Going down a rabbit hole. In this case, it was a list of the perfect games in Major League Baseball history. In over 150 years, there have been only 24, although half of them have occurred since 1990. They've been pitched by the legendary Sandy Koufax and Cy Young, and the not-so, Philip Humber and Domingo Germán. The tunnel of the rabbit hole that I chose led to Lee Richmond, who pitched the first perfect game back in 1880. He was a 23-year-old pitching for a National League team in Worcester, Massachusetts. Sometimes called the Ruby Legs or the Brown Stockings, but officially they were the Worcesters. That's just the way things were done. A lot was different back then. Richmond's perfect game included 2 foul-bound outs. Foul balls fielded on 1 bounce were outs back then. The perfect game included the right fielder throwing out a batter at first. The mound didn't exist. The pitcher threw from flat 45 feet away. The fielders were barehanded. But 27 up and 27 down is and was judged to be, in retrospect, a perfect game. 2 years later, with 2 games to play, the National League disbanded the Worcester Worcesters. Those last 2 games, played at the request of the league, drew 25 and 6 paying customers. The 6 stood as a record for the smallest crowd in a Major League game for 138 years, until COVID eclipsed it in 2020, when there were none. That's our unfinished business, and that is our program. And I want to double back to what you were saying. So, Tariq and I both think you're going to fork it over.
You're going to pay. Stop it.
Forget the dance lessons. Forget the tennis.
Yeah, I'm going to look at my wife. Hey, the things that are shaping the minds of our daughters. I got to go watch the Bills at Orchard Park. By the way, you won't see me. Also, personal seat license, so you're not YouTubing, comment, yelling at me. Not professional. Personal. It's a personal experience.
You're going to give up the tickets while your team goes to the Super Bowl?
Now, look, man, I don't like it. Okay, we got time. We got time to argue about this.
Thanks for joining us in the Rochester Press Box, and we'll see you again next week.
You're so full.
I'm telling no, bro. I'm